Okay.
Hello there, Razzle48 here, bringing you my Zephyr Rock deck profile, or Zephyr Rocks, if you prefer it that way, because I know I do. I know I have not really been on the YouTubes very much as of late. I've not really been feeling making content, and I know that, like, I haven't made Yu-Gi-Oh! Content specifically in a while, but I just want to know, I definitely still play the game, and I'm definitely still playing Zephyrs. I've gone through a bunch of variants, and I'm here to bring you one of the most unique variants that I have used since I began playing the deck. Now, I haven't played in about a month. I did get the COVID, so I had to recover from that, and then one of my friends passed away from it, so I've been mourning her. Rest in peace, Isabelle, you will be missed. So I have missed a while, a good chunk of Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think I may just dive back into locals tonight, depending on how I'm feeling. And I wanted to bring you the deck profile of what I will be using. I've played I've been tweaking this deck a little over the locals that I went to before I got the COVID, and I think that I've arrived on what is the best variant of this particular archetype mashup. Big shout out to Jared from the Zefra Yu-Gi-Oh! Facebook group, who I got acquainted with, who introduced me to the concept and allowed me to perfect it into what I'm going to show you today. So let's waste no more time and get into it. My camera is a bit precarious right now, so if it falls over, I hope you will forgive me. So anyway, we are going to be playing 3 Zephyr. This is just standard. This card is basically the closest thing to Monkey Board that is not Monkey Board. So play it. It's a mainstay of like any Zephyr deck. Let's see, what can I say about Zephyr to anyone who might be new to the deck? You mainly want this to be your high scale. Using Zephyr as a to get a low scale just isn't the same, because you usually want to be fetching secret with this, because pendulum summoning secret is always super important. And we are running almost twice as many high-scale Zephyrs as we are low-scale Zephyrs. But Zephyr, you need to get this every first turn, so you max out on it. Now, you're going to be saying something new, something that I've never actually done before with Zephyrs, and that's play only 2 copies of Secret. This card has been at 3 since I started playing the deck, like, 6 years ago when it first came out. This is the first time I've ever ran it at 2. And that's just because of the nature of the deck. But, you do need to pendulum summon this card. Like, every single turn, you need to pendulum summon this card. But, you know, Providence gets you to this card, Oracle gets you to this card, Zephyr gets you to this card, which is probably the way you want to be getting to this card, because both of those other cards get you to Zephyr. And you only need to be pendulum summoning the 1 copy. It's not as important as it used to be, because we're not going, unlike the previous few variants of this deck that I have been using, we're not going to be syncing with this literally every turn. I am running like a couple rank 6s, so that does come up, so 2 is definitely necessary. I would never run this card at 1 for any reason, but I think that, 3 is just, you don't need 3 as it is right now. I think that 2 is a solid number for it. For this variant specifically, I feel like if I went to any other Zephyr variant, it would go back at 3. But for now, it is at 2, and I am comfortable with it, at least in this build. So this is another thing that's weird. We're running 3 Zephyr Core. This is our other high scale besides Secret. Secret is definitely a way better card than this card. But because this is Adamancipator, this card is special summonable off all of your minors, off all 3 of them, naturally, because they all special the same things. But this is the Zephyr card that you can summon off them, which is really good. It's also level 4, so which is the perfect target, or rather perfect level for something to summon off Adamancipators to make Synchro plays, or even Xyz plays, to be able to make that Gallant Granite to get you to either your Zephyr, which is a rock, by the way, which is pretty pog, which comes in for, what is it, for your Dragite in your extra deck, as well as for that Gallant Granite search. So this is just a great utility card. It is also a high scale, like I said, so you can be sending these off Zephyr every turn to keep Zephyr at that high scale that you need for longer going games, which happen a lot more than you would think with this deck. So yeah, 3 Zephyr card is not that great. I don't really use its effects like almost ever, but it does come up, especially considering if you link away an Xyz monster that this is stacked under, its effect does still proc under that condition. Obviously, if you pendulum summon it, you can get a low scale Zefra out of your scale zone if you want to, if you feel like you're not going to have a low scale, otherwise maybe not, it's up to you, but it does have the ability to. It's mostly there just because it's a Zephyr rock, and the fact that it's level 4 is also convenient. So, that's it for the higher scale Zephyrs. We are running 5. I'm usually only running 4. I'm usually running Windy along with 3 Secret. I'm not running Windy anymore because the 3 Zephyr cores take the place of that like other high scale that I can get to if I need. So now we're running our low scales. We are running the 1 Thubin. I always run the 1 Thubin. This is an out to a lot of stuff. This can a lot of time force out negates. If you normal summon this and attempt to like pop something that's on the field that might threaten to negate your power plays or anything like that, I have always loved running this card at 1. This is also a great card that you can search with Oracle or Providence if you need to get a low scale Zefra. If you just do not open your generic low scale option, which we do have one, we'll get to it a bit later. But if I have to have a Zefra in the low scale, it's probably going to be Thubin. I feel most comfortable having Thubin there. We're running 1 Pilica. Pilica is something that's been cut for a while, but making Granite as much as I do with the Zephyr core, as well as bumping the rank 6 count up from the normal 1 that it's been for a while to 2, I'm running 2 rank 6s, we do get secrets in the grave a lot too, and because I'm only running 2 secret, recycling those secrets is more important. This card does not come up that much. It's probably the most cuttable card in the deck. The deck is at 41 cards right now, so if you really want to have the deck at 40, you can cut Pilica. But I am running only 1 treasure, and because I'm running only 1 treasure, that means my Zefra low scale count is only at 3. I don't want to lower it beyond that. 3 is always what I've been comfortable with. It's usually 2 treasure and 1 Thubin, and because I cut treasure down to 1, I feel like Pilica, it serves that more functionality now that we're going to be Xyzing with Zephyrs a lot more than in other builds. But she's in there to keep the Zephyr low scale count at that comfortable number of 3. But if you do feel comfortable running only 2, she is cuttable. I simply don't. And the effect is pretty useful when it can come up. I have done it. Have definitely done it. But anyway, about treasure. So, one of the reasons I'm only running 1 treasure is because, spoiler alert, my generic low scale for this build is a scale 3, which means that we cannot pendulum summon this card as much as usual. And what's more, we don't need this card's effect for our synchro plays. Usually, when we need to pendulum summon treasure and something else, which is usually secret, in order to go into our synchro plays for the deck, which is usually Croc or maybe Shin Shin in a matchup where Shin Shin will auto win you the game. But if you want to pendulum summon secret, or treasure rather, right now, then you need one of the other 2 generic low scale Zephyrs in your scale zone, because you cannot do it with the generic low scale I'm running right now. Most like builds in the past, that would be something like Gate 0 or something like Servant of Endymion, but that's not the case now. I am still running at 1. It is still a great card. And I am still using it for some cool extra deck functionality, which I'll explain when we get to it. But because we can't pendulum summon it as much, and we only need it for like specific plays, I did cut it down to 1. And you know, I've enjoyed it at 1. It works fine. In this build specifically, in most builds, I do recommend it at 2, but not this one. This is a very weird Zephyr build. Most assuredly. So that's it for the Zephyr monsters. Let's move on to the sub-engine, or not even sub-engine, this is like half the deck at this point, which is the Adamancipators. We're running 3 of each. We're running 3 Researcher, 3 Seeker, and 3 Cyber Dragon, or rather Analyzer. So, yep, you max out on these for obvious reasons. These are your playmakers. They special summon themselves unless you just go first and get Analyzer, in which it's okay, I guess. But these are self-explanatory. If you don't know how Adamancipators work, just look them up or something like that. I'm not going to explain how the engine works. Just how it functions. I might explain how it works. I'm not a consistent person like that. So for our targets, besides the 3 Zephyr core, we are running 3 Dragite. This is one of my favorite targets because it gets a water in the grave for the Dragite in the extra deck. All my targets are level 4, by the way, so they're all granite food, and they all help you go into like level 6 or 8 synchros really easily. But this is like my favorite one to special summon. This one makes you go plus. And it's an Adamancipator name, so it lets you special summon Seeker out of the hand, while like all of the other targets would only let you special summon Researcher. So probably my favorite target, even though drawing it is kind of a brick. It's not a bad normal summon because of the fact that, unlike the other ones, it does let you get Seeker out of the hand. Playing 3 Guardian. I love this card. This card makes my combos nib-proof, which is something I want in every Zefra deck. This is why I kept playing Endymions for so long, even after Servant got limited, is because it let me get that Jackal King onto the field early to prevent myself from getting nibbed. And in this build, we don't even need to really do that much searching. We just normal our Adamancipator and use the effect and hopefully get to Guardian. And this is important because this also makes us Droll-proof, which is really important because everyone is running Droll right now because of how powerful Drytron is. And Zephyrs hate getting Drolled almost as much. Not quite as much, but almost as much, because literally all our spells search things. And so do some of our monsters. Secret searches stuff too. And because this card exists, everyone with a brain is going to be forced to use their Ash immediately, like shotgun their Ash as soon as you use the Adamancipator, unless they want you to have the option to just stop it whenever you want. So that is also a really good option. You can just normal summon it out of your hand as well. Like if you open 2 Zephyr, you can reveal it at end phase to keep it on board. It's just a good card, just a negate that you can normal summon, just a negate that you can get off the half the deck that you're running for the combo crap anyway. It's just a good card. So anyway, this is the spicy card. We're running 3 Yosenju Shinshu L. So, a few things I have to say about this. This is the generic low scale for this build. Like I said, it is a scale 3, which is why Treasure is only at 1. It doesn't do anything. It is a generic low scale, so while it's there and Zephyrath is your high scale, you can pendulum summon, analyzers, other targets you drew, like more guardians or more of the freaking blue rocks, anything you want. While this is except Treasure, ironically. But this is also a level 4, so it's great for granite. This is wind, so this makes Raptite live. If you want to have that DD Crow, if you're going against Striker or something, where you think that Raptite would be better to leave on the field than use it as like Link or Synchro food, then if you get this in the grave by detaching it off granite or linking granite away after you make it with this, then that will make Raptite live. Because it is wind. Yeah, that's about it. It's a generic low-scale rock. It's got a big butt, it's got 2100 defense, and it's wind, so it makes Raptite live. So, that's pretty good. That's it for the monsters, aside from the hand traps. Like I said, 41 cards. It is unfortunately very tight, so I can only run 1 hand trap. D-Shifter is the hand trap of choice. This stops the vast majority of things you're going to have problems with, most namely Drytron. Striker also hates it when you drop this card, especially considering you can loop this card with M-Shifter, M7, spoiler alert. But this will stop the vast majority of things that present problems with you. You would be surprised how much this deck can function under D-Shifter. Usually the more combo-heavy variants of Zephyr cannot main deck D-Shifter. It's more of a side deck card that you side in if you side out, like your combo engine for going second. But this build, you don't lose any of your combo potential under D-Shifter. It does turn off Divine Strike, so you do have to remember to go for the 9 pillars on with your secret search most of the time. So watch out for that. But you don't lose any of your combo potential if you D-Shifter. There are a few extra deck routes you cannot go into if you D-Shifter. I'll mention those when they come up, but D-Shifter does not hinder this deck in its combo ability, and it turns off so much. So this is my hand trap of choice. Just a side comment, if I had room I would probably play Droll, because the worst thing for this deck is for Drytron to combo uninterrupted, and Droll just stops them, which is the most important thing. So yeah. Oh yeah, and the other card is like, if Drytron ever gets hit, I would, and I somehow had room for a second card, it would probably be some Gamma Seals. I feel like Gamma Seal is just universally good right now. There's so much crap where you can just drop a Gamma Seal on, and that solves the vast majority of your problems. Drop a Gamma Seal on Virtual World, all they'll have left is their Chuche most of the time. Drop a Gamma Seal on Sky Striker, that turns off like everything and dodges Ray's Resurrection. Unfortunately, it's not really going to solve the Drytron problem, which is why I would go Droll right now, because Drytron is the biggest problem. But Gamma Seal, it stops that freaking utopic dragon future whatever the F too. So Gamma Seal, probably my second choice for another going second card after Droll. So that's it for the monsters. For the spells, short and simple: 3 Oracle, 3 Providence. That's it. 6 searchers for like all your Zefra monsters. Providence will get you to Oracle. Oracle lets you do all sorts of things when you sync with when you sync in Xyz with Zephyr Core is actually the card you're going to be proccing Oracle's other effects with most of the time. But yep, these are just your generic searchers. If you played Zephyr at all, you know that you always max out on those. Do not max out on them just because they're hard once per turns. They are amazing. And finally, the trap lineup. It's just standard. The 1 Divine Strike, the 1 9 Pillars, and the 1 War. They all come up. They all come up all the time. Run all of them. Sometimes I see people running 2 of this over 1 of this. Please don't. Please run at least 1 of each. If for some reason you, like... Actually, no. This is correct. Do not mess with this ratio, please. Any more than this is unnecessary unless you make it to turn like 8, which very rarely happens. And yep, that's it. I've found myself needing a second war maybe 1 time in my life. Found myself needing a second counter trap a few times, but only for super longer games, and it's definitely not running more of for that reason, because they are hard bricks. So that's it for the main deck. Like I said, 41 cards. If you really want it to be 40, you can cut the Pelica, but I personally like it at 41. Side note for the main deck, an interesting tech option is this field spell that's called something ocean something. It's one of the field spells that's treated as Umi. You can look it up. And basically it says when you synchro summon a water monster, like you can look at a card in your hand and like banish it until your opponent's until the end phase, and when it's activated you can put any water monster on the top of your deck. So obviously you stack your deck with Dragite, you normal a minor, you use its effect to special it, you draw a card to replace itself, and then you sync into the Dragite, and then the field spell will let you look at your opponent's hand, banish Nib, banish other hand traps, full complete hand knowledge. So you just know exactly what they're going to be wanting to do going into their first turn. It's great, but I am currently not running it. It's just not something I've tested, and I feel like opening it without a minor, as unlikely as that is, considering we're running 9, would just suck. And it's really hard for me to find anything in the deck I want to cut right now. If I did put that in, it would probably come with a terraforming and maybe a set rotation, because then we'd have multiple field spells to choose from for both of those cards. But anyway, going into the extra deck, we have Naturia Beast. Both Seeker and Researcher are both level 2 Earths, and we are running the 1 level 3 Earth Treasure, if you remember. This is the main reason why Treasure is actually still in the deck, because not being able to Pendulum Summon it sucks. But even just saving your normal summon for it, like, after you get minors on the field, or just making sure that you use another Zefra low scale to be able to Pendulum Summon it, to make Nat Beast with it, with one of your spare minors, is so good. Nat Beast is just amazing. If you can make Nat Beast in your deck, you should be running it, unless you have to go like way out of your way to make it, of course. But I don't need to explain how many decks this card just auto-wins against. And some decks that it doesn't auto-win against are greatly hindered by it anyway. Like, not even Drytron likes to see this card. We are running Stardust Charge Warrior. It's worth mentioning that I'm not running Leonite, because anytime I could make Leonite, either Raptite or Stardust Charge, depending on the situation, would do the job better. This is another card that I'd taken out for a while, but this card is good because if you sync, because you're going to be able to, if you normal a miner and you get the Zephyr core off of it and you use your Oracle, then you're always going to be able to like stack your deck either to, and just search whatever you want with this. I don't know if you're going to want to search the, like, a treasure or the Zefra. I don't know what you want. It depends on the situation, but this card comes up a lot because of the fact that you're able to combo it with Oracle a great deal more than you do in general because of Adamancipator's specialing Zephyr core off their effects. Raptite, this is probably the best card in the extra deck right now. You really only ever make this live if one of the gates hit grave, but Stardust Charge is also a win, so if that happens, then it's live then too. Freaking Oracle plus this card is just as great as Oracle plus this card, because then you can special summon practically whatever you want off this thing's effects. This card is just so good, and it being level 6 is good too. Yeah, you'll see a few things that you'll be able to make with it in just a sec. Metaphys Horus, it's Zephra's. Metaphys Horus is Metaphys Horus. It's broken. Run it. Coral Dragon, spoiler alert, running Zulkin. That's why this card's in the deck. But another spoiler alert, running Hulk, and you can actually special summon this card off of Hulk. And fun fact, Hulk summoning is treated as a synchro summon. So if you tag Hulk into this and they kill it, which they're probably going to be able to, it's only a 900 attack increase, then you will be able to draw a card. Well, which is neat. But yeah, it is mostly in here to make Zulkin, even though it does have a discard to pop effect, which can maybe sometimes come in handy. Dragite, this card is broken, boys. This is, look, Jesus. If you make this going second and they don't have something to stop it, you probably win. It's very easy to do so. Also, because we're running, like, the water rocks, you do get a water in the grave the vast majority of the time. This card's crazy. There's even more targets for this card than all the rest because Zephyr counts for this thing's effect. Like, you're running, like, 20-something cards that counts towards this thing effect. If you make this and they cannot negate the effect, their whole board's gone. It doesn't target or anything. Card's crazy. Crystal Wing, it's the Zulkin target, but like I mentioned, there are certain routes that you cannot do if you drop D-Shifter. The Zulkin route is one of them. Gnatbeast is another one, by the way, because Gnatbeast requires you to send from the top of your deck to the grave. So if you D-Shifter, please don't make Gnatbeast. But Zulkin is another thing you cannot do under D-Shifter, because that requires you to send to the grave. But no worries, because making Crystal Wing raw in this deck is very easy. It usually just requires making Raptite and then special summoning one of the level 2 miners off of it and then sinking into this, which, for one, if that goes through, congratulations. Your combo is now nib-proof, which is so important. I cannot stress how important that is. So you can make it raw if you're under D-Shifter. You just have to be consciously aware to do that and not attempt to go for the Zulkin. Shinshin, this card just auto-wins against some decks, but you make this with Pendulum Summoning Treasure and Secret, which, like I've said countless times already, does not happen too much. I have yet to make it. I know that if I do make it in a matchup where it matters, it's going to win me the game, and I know that I definitely can do that. But that requires doing that instead of a lot of other things that are generally much better and easier. And as a result, it's probably the most cuttable card in the extra deck, despite its ability to just auto-win against some matchups. So if you have anything that you really want to run that I'm not running, you can cut Shinshin. Zolkin, it's here. Coral Dragon plus Raptite or Stardust Charge. It's very easy to go into. Can't do it under Shifter. Make Crystal Wing with it, then link it away for a freaking Appaloosa. Spoiler alert, Appaloosa. Granted, you make this all the dang time. You can search any of your miners. You can search Zephyr. You can search the Yosenju scale too. That's a thing that I do a lot because sometimes you just need the low scale. You make this a lot. I've considered running 2, but it's just not worth it. Sheridan. This is probably the staple rank 6 for Zephyrs because of Metaphys Horus being Metaphys Horus in Zephyrs. This card is just so good because you steal something and then you make it with it and then you like get rid of something else and then you steal that too. Run Sheridan in Zephyrs, please. It's so good. M7. This is in here for D-shifter looping, like exclusively. You don't have to use it just for D-shifter looping. You can use it to recycle a thing you need. You can use it to bounce problematic things. You can use it for a lot of things, but it's here for D-shifter looping. Loop D-shifter with it. The end. Also, while I'm thinking about it, Coral Dragon and Raptite are both water synchros for the Dragites effect engraved to put it back in the extra deck and stack it before you do a minor play on turn like 2 or 3. Remember to do that, because I don't. That is the thing that I always forget to do, and I'm sure I've lost games because of it and never even realized. I have not remembered to do that once, and you definitely should, because it's important. It's a big deal. Hulk. It's a synchro deck. Hulk is good. Summon more miners, mainly duplicates of ones you've already used. And then proceed to, make whatever you want. Like I said, you can tag into Coral Dragon with it. It's not a thing you really do unless you get hand trapped, but it's a possibility. But if you don't get hand trapped, you usually just link it away for the Appaloosa. Like Granite, Zolkin, Hulk, just other thing like Secret. If you are searching Divine Strike over 9 pillars, you get so much fodder for this. Like, use Stardust Charge warriors, used Raptites if you don't want to go Crystal Wing. Yeah, it's very easy to make this. I make this thing all the time. And Boral Sword, because we get a lot of crap on the board, so winning games automatically with this is just good. I have several times, and no, access code is not better. It's not just because I can't afford one. I have one. It's in my striker. It's right here. I have it. Okay, Boral Sword is better here. I assure you. So that is it for the extra deck. Just gonna briefly run through the side deck and what everything is for. Before I do that, side comment about the extra deck. One of the tech options that I originally started with and took out is the Predaplant Anaconda and El Shaddoll Winda, because, like I said, our Zefra rock that we're summoning off of our miners is a Shaddoll monster. You can get it off Oracle, Providence, Zefrath, because you want Zefrath to be a high scale, and all the miners. You will always have access to Zephyr Core. So if you make Predaplant Anaconda and use the effect to send a Shaddoll fusion, Anaconda's dark, so you can make a window right then and there. But usually that requires using all of the resources that you would usually put into the Appaloosa, and I have never once been in a situation where I would prefer doing that over something else. But I do feel it is an option good enough to mention in case you want to consider it. But anyway, here is the side deck. 3 Droll, like I said, Drytron is the biggest problem for the deck, so this is a mandatory. That's it, really. There's other decks that it works against, but Drytron is just a massive pain. 3 Bell, this is mainly for Tri-Brigade. I haven't had a big problem with that matchup. It's generally been very easy for me. Just generally speaking, I don't think I've lost to Tri-Brigade yet, any variant. But I understand that the deck is very popular and pretty darn decent. That trap is obnoxious AF, and this just stops it. And that's kind of the only reason it's in here. There are some stray matchups that Belle's good against, but it's mainly just for tri-brigade. And if you sided in against tri-brigade, hold it for that trap, for the love of God. 2 Gamma Seal. Kaijus are good. I don't really have space in the extra deck for a third one, but if I had space, it probably would be a third one. This stops a lot. I already talked about the stuff that Kaijus are good against in the main deck portion, so I will save you the time there. 3 Nib. This card is dumb. I hate this card. I cannot wait until this card gets banned. It probably won't get banned, but I hope it gets banned, and I don't need to explain why that card is good and in here. Harpies, I cut the lightning storms for the bells because, like, back row decks just aren't generally as much of a problem. Altergeist is a huge pain in the butt, but I haven't gone up against it since I shifted away from my previous Zephyr variant into the Adamancipator build. And all the other back row decks that I've played against, I was able to manage quite easily without needing to side in lightning storms to cheese out Ws. But just the 1 Harpies is a good life insurance to have. I'm not running Red Reboot, by the way, so if you feel that's better, you could maybe side that in instead. But for me personally, I choose Harpies. And finally, 3 Evenly Matched. I forget what exactly in the format this is good against, but there was definitely something. Maybe if I thought about it for a moment, it would come to me. Probably Striker. I have barely mentioned Striker in this video because it's pretty darn easy for us to play around as well. I did mention it when bringing up the Kaijus because it's pretty darn good in that situation. But this is good against, I probably would side this against Striker. I went up against a Trap Tricks player that this card came in super clutch against. But, yep, that is the deck. So, I ain't got much to say. I'll probably put up a picture of the deck on screen right now, so anyone who's just trying to net deck can skip here and just take what they need and be gone, because this video is over half an hour at this point. But, yeah, I won't give you the usual subscribe spiel that every other YouTuber gives, but do leave a comment down below because I do like hearing what y'all think and potentially getting into discussions and whatnot. So, that's the deck. Hope you enjoyed it. If you test it out, have success with it, maybe come up with some spice, some combo routes or anything like that, some tech choices, let me know in the comments. Always love to hear about that and that input, even though I have been off YouTube for a while. So, thank you for watching, and for now, this is Razzle48 saying goodbye, and I'll see you next time.